Hi, Justin Aquino here, public speaking and communication coach based in New York City. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to talk about distractions and interruptions when you're giving presentations. This is a really interesting phenomenon. It happens to almost everybody at some point in their speaking career, and it's something that when you think about it, if you're nervous or you're a new speaker who's intimidated by the prospect of speaking or presenting, it can really throw you psychologically. But don't worry, I'm here to tell you it's no big deal. It happens to everybody. There will be interruptions, there will be distractions. I'm not necessarily even talking about people or non-human distractions, right? The projector goes down, the Wi-Fi cuts out, the lights in the venue suddenly shut off. There's all kinds of distractions that may come into play from a technical standpoint. I'm talking in this video about human interruptions. People that know it all, people that have all kinds of opinions. They raise their hand and they interrupt your presentation and they say, hey, what about this? What about that? Have you considered blah, blah, blah? Look, it's going to happen inevitably, especially if you're speaking to many types of audiences or a diverse group of people over the course of time. Depends on your industry, depends on the corporate context, but ultimately it's something that we have to just deal with. So don't get frustrated. That's the most important thing. I can tell you from personal experience, if you get frustrated, if you have any kind of negative emotional reaction, you're dead, okay? I mean, ultimately, you're there for the audience. You're not there for your ego. You're not there to just be the star of the show. You're there speaking and presenting for the benefit of your audience. Whatever your audience is in, if it's a nonprofit, if it's a corporate context, if it's younger people, older people, if it's a startup seminar, if it's a conference, a panel discussion, I mean, you're there to give information. That's why you're speaking and that's why you're presenting. So when you make that mental switch and you realize, hey, you know what? It's not about me. It's not about me defending my turf or advocating for my position in the face of some critic. It's me giving information and giving insight to my audience that they need to hear. That completely changes the game. And now it's no longer a turf battle, an egotistical thing where it's like my ego against his ego, but rather it's about me making sure that the audience has a great experience. So I'm the leader in that situation. I'm the authority figure. And you realize that as a speaker, that is really what it's all about. It's not about you being the big man or the big woman or something. It's about making sure that the audience gets what they need to get from your presentation. So maintaining that positive and confident energy, being calm, being relaxed, maintaining your poise is super important. That's the foundation for everything. If you don't have that, then you're absolutely going to get thrown by distractions or by people that interrupt and they start, throwing out skeptical ideas. And look, it's very easy for them, right, to sit there in the audience and to criticize this and pick apart your argument or your presentation because, they can just sit there from a place of safety. You've actually worked on this thing and you're the one on stage putting yourself out there. You're making yourself vulnerable, right? You're taking the risk. They're not taking a risk, right? So, of course, you're in a vulnerable position and you're taking a risk. But you know what? That's the nature of the game. So maintaining that positive, confident, and relaxed energy is really the foundation. Because if you're high-strung or you're tense or nervous, then, of course, any little minor distraction or interruption is going to throw you for a loop. But if you're relaxed and confident, feeling good about yourself, there's going to be interruptions. It's never going to be perfect, okay? Let go of perfectionism. Don't try to be perfect. The audience is not expecting you to be perfect. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect. People are just expecting you to do the best that you can. And the thing is, the best that you can is pretty damn good if you really work on it and your heart is in the right place. Remember, you have a responsibility to the audience. Remember to maintain your poise and your confident energy. You want to maintain that strong image because you don't want the audience to feel that you're losing control of the situation, right? So I'll give you a quick example. I was given a presentation here in New York at a meetup, and it was a mixed group of people. Some people were new people that had never come to my events before. Some people knew me, so some familiar faces, some new faces. So one of the new people, one of the new guys, He was sitting there in the audience. This guy was very sure of himself. He had a lot of opinions, and he was very egotistical and knew what he knew, and he had very strong viewpoints about everything. So at one point in my presentation, he raised his hands and just started talking. Just started giving his opinion and saying, yeah, but I think this, and what about that, and blah, blah, blah. And look, he wasn't necessarily even against me, right? He wasn't criticizing my ideas. He just wanted to hear himself talk. That's really what it came down to. But it was a distraction for the audience. So it would have been very easy for me to have a negative emotional reaction and to really slap him down and to say, listen, my friend, this is your first time here. Do you think that the people here came to hear you or to hear me? Right? It would have been very tempting for me to do that. And I would have been well within my rights to say something like that, to have a negative reaction. But guess what? Even though maybe I'm in the right, it's my show, I have total control of the situation, I can say whatever I want, that would have had a negative impact on the audience. And that's the most important thing. So instead, what I did is I maintained my positive disposition, and I just, keeping it calm. He had to express his opinion, so I just kind of let it go for a little bit, 30 seconds or so, and then I start regaining control of the situation. So I started vocalizing. I said, yeah, okay, gotcha, makes sense. So thank you for your contribution. I'm going to get back to this now. So just keeping a positive attitude about it. After the event was over, turns out he really liked my presentation. He just had to hear himself talk. He's just one of these people that likes to give his opinion about everything. And other people in the audience also really benefited from that as well. So that was very heartening because it was great to see that they benefited. If I had had a negative reaction, or if I had gotten flustered or frustrated, then the audience would have had a totally different reaction. So there's going to be countless possible scenarios like this. Now, over time, as you get more experience, then you can actually start having fun with hecklers or interrupters. And you can start making jokes about it. And really good stand-up comics, when they get heckled, they're able to just totally control the situation. And in fact, it enhances their position, enhances their act instead of taking away from it. But that's a little bit more advanced. For new to intermediate speakers, I would say maintain that positive energy, be calm, be relaxed. Understand and accept that nothing's ever going to be perfect. Remember that you have a responsibility to maintain a positive disposition for your audience, not necessarily just for yourself, but for them, to make sure that you're in control of the situation. You're the leader, you're the authority figure in that context. Very important to keep in mind. And you'll be able to manage those challenges and those interruptions. So those are some of my thoughts on that issue. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had a presentation where someone started interrupting you, they were skeptical of your ideas? Leave a comment, reach out to me. I'm always curious to hear your perspective. Always happy to hear from you and to hear what you have to say about these kinds of challenges. If you're in the New York City area, definitely reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk, meet for a coffee. We can discuss more. If you have communication challenges, or if you see communication challenges on your team, if you're a senior manager or a leader in your organization and you want to discuss more about that, always happy to do that as well. All right, so other than that, thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.